So this is not the video I thought I was going to be making, and I honestly am not even sure how it's going to edit together. I went in with the vision to make a really fun and exciting and in-depth vlog about attending a writer's retreat that I love. I went to one a couple of months ago, and I was like, this is my big huzzah and return, and really just sharing the process with people, pulling the curtain back because author, YouTube and author talk, and then screenwriting videos have been so instrumental in helping me with a very rough phase in my writing career. I'm a professional writer, and that's where all of this is coming from. And so it's very interesting for me because, again, none of this goes to plan, and it is not to fault of any individual. The writer's retreat is amazing. They were not involved in what happened. As the video goes on, it'll make sense. But the one thing I can say is that despite the chaos and the failure of the retreat, which is my failure of the retreat, I think that everyone who watches this will gain a lot of insight. I think because of me being a professional writer who has now, because of the state of the film industry, work, very, very intense, very long day job and lots of hustles to keep my career alive while also paying bills and having life and commitments outside of all of this, will really understand where I'm at with starting new projects, because I really detail projects I'm working on, where I'm going, why I'm doing them, all of it, both as a author, as a screenwriter, as a journalist, because I'm now a journalist. Like, there's so much to all of this. And then I think that new authors will really enjoy it because it gives you a very honest look at the pros and cons to all of this. A not Instagram, not like romanticizing my life author look. Like, this is me getting really, really honest about the process, and a part of the process I did not expect to open up about. A part of the process I didn't think was going to come up. But here we are. And here's the vlog, and bear with it. I promise it'll make sense. And hopefully I've gotten good enough at YouTube that I can put time codes in the description box so you can kind of zip through and find what's calling to you. But I promise it's really good. And I'm honestly really proud of, I think, some of the talking points that I made. Hopefully they make the cut. So I'm an overthinker and an overpacker, and I'm going to a 2-day writer's retreat. And tonight is the night before, and I thought for this little vlog that I'm going to do about it, I would show you all of the things that I am bringing and the things that I want to bring, and hopefully that will help me decide what bag I'm going to put it all in. I went to the same writer's retreat back in December, so I kind of have an idea of what I want to do, what I want to accomplish, and how best I work. And I'm very fortunate that because of my background in screenwriting, I actually do very good when I'm in a low disturbance space with walking in and like writing. I can get probably 6 hours of writing done if I don't have any distractions or interruptions and minimal to no admin work to do, which luckily, because it's a 2-day writer's retreat, it's taking place on the weekend. I have notified everyone that I am unavailable. I will have my phone off. I'll have my phone on for emergency contacts, but aside from that, I'm going to be out of range, which means that I can actually lock in and do all of that because everybody else there is there to do the same thing, right? And find their way. So I have a big goal, which is, again, what I truly learned in December is that I am a writer who can, again, do all of that, but I do best when I have some variation in the projects that I'm working, and I do kind of sprints and time blocking within the various projects that I'm working on. And thank goodness for that, because as a screenwriter, poet, and someone who runs a Substack, writes articles, contributes to publications, it's necessary that I be able to get a little bit of everything done all at one time. So for a girl, but I have to be up super early to get to the retreat. So that's why I'm going to get the packing at least somewhat done tonight, and try to speed speed run all of this. So the main thing is I want to work on a new script that I have. I want to leave the door open for potentially writing some new poems, some last minute additions to my new collection of poetry, Valley Girl Manifesto, which comes out in the fall of this year. So very much down to the wire on those additions, but it's me, and that's how my poetry collections happen. And then I also I want to get some more work done on my zero draft of my novel. I'm really confident. I'm really loving it. I just want to change a couple of the elements and really ground it and enhance the pacing for the climax of the book. I want it to have a thriller feel in some ways and really like hone in on the tension, even though I definitely consider it to be hopefully like elevated fiction. That's the goal. We'll see if I've got the chops and the talent to match that aspiration. And then lastly, if I have time, if I do really good on everything else, I really, really want to get some just like rough plotting and work done on a fantasy novel. Writing a fantasy novel has been a dream of mine for so long. And I know that to truly build an epic world and a very original story, it will take a lot of years and a lot of times just sitting with the project and developing as a writer. So I want to start making headway on that. So that in a couple of years, I can actually have something to present. I can write a script within like 3 months. Honestly, if I wasn't working full time, I could probably get that done even sooner. So I feel confident I can get a lot and a lot done on my film treatment while I'm there, which is why I also have divided my 2 days. So the retreat is from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. And day one is I'm calling my analog day. So everything will be my like notebooks because I do best with that. Notebooks handwritten, and then the second day I will bring my laptop and I'm going to type up everything that I worked on the first 2 days. That way I don't have it hanging over me and I don't feel like I got halfway productive. Like once it's in the laptop, I can send it, I can share it. It's more locked in. So that's very, very, very much the goal. And then if you're wondering, going back to the zero draft of the novel, am I going to type the zero draft up? Honestly, I probably will because of my background again in screenwriting. I'm used to really, really extensive treatments before I sit down to write the scene. And so a lot of times I'll write in final draft for that. I will probably be using Scrivener for the novel, but in final draft, I'll literally write in the overview of each scene and then I'll actually go in, like hit the enter bar until that moves down, type in the scene, compare the notes, compare what I actually wrote, and then once I feel like the scene has captured the essence of the note that I left, and that way there's no plot lines drops, no character continuity errors, I'll delete my zero draft kind of notes, or in screenwriting we call it just the treatment because you treatment extensively for the most part. I'll delete that and then go. Traditionally with prose writings, I've always been more of a pantser, but I think that I've learned so much from being a screenwriter and from the benefits of how well I structure scripts. And one of the best bits of feedback that I get is how solid my scripts are. They understand pacing, timing, the medium so well, and that the foundation is just so ripe for creative collaboration. Yada, 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 the characters pop, all of that. And my instincts with screenwriting have gotten really honed from all of the treatments I've done over the years. I want to kind of apply that same skill set to novel, even though it's not the most organic for me, because I love the experience of discovery with prose writing, mostly because I have such a structured experience with screenwriting. So that being said, here are the things I want to bring. These are 3 of the notebooks because they're all celestial for the fantasy novel. That's a clue to what's happening. This is the zero draft of my book, so bringing that. I like to color code which bits of the zero draft I'm going in and doing. So the very first chapter by chapter rough is in black, the second goes in blue, and then kind of this third run of it is probably going to be in red. And that'll help me understand just like my thought process. and when and where those notes are coming from, like how much awareness I had of the story. A notepad, my two poetry notebooks for the Valley Girl Manifesto collection. I am obsessed with these. This paper is crazy. I've become addicted to Japanese stationery and paper. RIP my wallet, but also I just feel so good as a writer. And then 2 more notebooks for the fantasy books because organization. The notebook for, I got it on sale at TJ Maxx, I think, or Home Goods, one of them. The notebook for my script. This is going to be the big treatment. It'll also hold character reviews, dialogue ideas, just all of it. Again, with scripts, because so much of it gets put into final draft, I never really need more than this unless I am handwriting rough drafts of scenes, which I don't like to do by hand, actually. Very rarely do I do that, and normally if I do that, it's with comedy. This will have comedic elements, but it's more of a rom-com romance, quirky. It's unique. It's a very unique thing, and so I'm very excited. I'll also, because it's me, have my planner, just because my planner always has everything that I need. My highlighters for color coding everything. And then just a notebook for free writing and morning pages for when I get stuck and my brain's like on the fritz. For the notebooks that I have that are for the fantasy novel, I'm going to probably end up putting them in my traveler's journal just for the convenience of the writer's retreat and having them all organized. I got this one on Amazon. It's probably a Paper Republic dupe, but I looked up Louise Carmen's and that's how I found it. And I love it. I probably will buy a second one just to hold everything related to the novel. But right now, this is the one that I take to work. So it's got a ton of other things. I will, in a separate video, do a breakdown of what I normally keep in here. But yeah, I'm very, very, very excited. I really, really love writer's retreats. It is no secret to everyone around me that my goal in 5 years is to be a writer full time and fully committed to that life. And is that a big aspiration? Hell yeah, everything in life is. Life will throw you off at any second, and I know that as well as anyone. So I very, very much love the opportunity to get to feel like I'm already living that life, even if I never get to live that life exactly as I intend. And then something else I just remembered, because I'm a scatterbrain, and I saw the other set on the desk, I will be bringing index cards so that I can stick them in everywhere else as need be, because that happens to me. I wish I had Post-its. I probably have Post-its, and I've got the other paper, but yeah, I'm just gonna bring a lot of stuff. The next cards are probably gonna make it in there. But yeah, anyway, that's me. I will be adding to this vlog from the writer's retreat with Well, I'm not really sure how to go about this update because day 1 was amazing, but unfortunately for the writer's retreat, day 1 is all I got to experience this time. And I'm really, really sad about it. A medical family emergency came up. And when something like that comes up, it's always, always, always going to be the number one priority. And with the family structure and just the way the ball bounced, that required me to completely alter my plans. The writer's retreat that I was at, was here in Los Angeles. It was a different side of town than I live in, but, I was still, at home and able to hang out with my family. And so I was pretty emotionally upset last night about it. Not mad at my family. I'm grateful everything is okay. Grateful everybody was treated. I'm grateful everything's good. But it was definitely hard because I work multiple jobs. I work 7 days a week. I rarely, if ever, get much downtime or rest time. And it's been a really big shift that I've had to make in 2026 is to put me back on the table, because 2024 and 2025 were years that I became fully committed to my family or to my job. And it became to the point where balancing the two things has rendered me unable to do anything else. It's been impossible for me to show up for relationships in my life. I have had to miss so many important moments for friends and for other people because I had to put finances first. And I just really got to a point where I felt in February of this year like I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying my life. I don't feel like I have quality of life because every single thing that I do in every waking minute of truly every day of the week is spent thinking about and doing for other people, and just pure all work, no play responsibility. And again, I'm grateful for all those things. I'm grateful to have the ability to do these things, but when there are multiple days, multiple weeks that I'm working 13 to 16-hour shifts, I fall apart. And then especially when I have to go home and show up for everybody else at home, regardless of how long my days have been. So this writer's retreat was very important to me. It was so important because January was just a massive experience. It was so vital for me to show up and do that. And it was a lot easier in January because all of my jobs were on break those 2 days. And that's the way it goes in the entertainment industry. That's why for many years of my life, my favorite week of the year has been between Christmas and New Year's, because it is a mandatory vacation. And it's great and it does a lot. But, while I was at the retreat, even though I told everyone I'd be unavailable, I'm getting texts all day, even though it's on Do Not Disturb. I open my phone to Google something, to check, what restaurants are nearby that I want to get food at, and all these requests for my availability. It's a lot. And then to have to miss the second day that I really wanted to do. There was a social hour after and a meetup with another networking event here in LA. It was a big sad, and I was very proud of myself because I did let myself feel sad. I let myself feel disappointed and let down, not by any individual person, but by the timing of life. And again, everybody's fine, and I am grateful for that first and foremost always. But I had to, within my gratitude, make room for my disappointment and my FOMO and my sadness and this feeling of struggle, in the sense that this is one of the reasons why I so badly want to be a writer full time. I want to be able to build a life around my career and around my passion, so that my writing isn't crammed into the corners of everything else and everyone else that I have to be responsible for. And the struggle of, just balancing it all. Like, I swear I watch so many vlogs on YouTube of people trying to write with a full-time job, because I'm like, how do you do it? And, I work in entertainment. I'm used to a lot of people who, again, especially crew, we all work 16-hour days. We are used to it. We understand it. We function around it. But there's still a difference, at least when it feels like you're putting in those hours for your career versus when you're putting in those hours to survive. And when you feel like you're barely making ends meet, it gets hard. It gets really hard. And caregiving full time is hard. So all of that put together with this, I just felt really big sad of like, I did the thing I never do. I took 2 days off of work. I called out. I booked out of everything. I turned down every responsible thing to do this. And to do it first and foremost for me, and not just for me, for the future I want to have. So there's a lot of lessons to be here, and of course there's always a reason. And I will figure it out, and I really hope that this group does another retreat and yada yada. Maybe I can find some friends and we can do a faux retreat of our own. Like, I'm sure I can do all of that, but being real and taking down the Instagram, YouTube, all of that facade and getting real there was just a lot of, come on, why? And then, yeah. But in recapping the first day, which is the exciting part of all of this, is the process of the first day, especially in relation to the build up and the hype up that happened, was really nice. I loved it. I have some video that I will put in here of what it all looked like. And so it was really, really amazing. I love everything about this. I love the location. It is the Meadow at York location in Highland Park. It's just the place to be. It's amazing. Every woman in the room is just incredible and welcoming, exciting to be with. And I just went in so prepped, so ready. I had my backpack full. I was doing my analog day. I got to sit on the comfy couch, which I love because sitting in the chairs is so not comfortable. I think that's actually a big reason why I'm not a coffee shop writer. And like my desk chair is one of those like crisscross applesauce ones, and it's very cushy. I'm a Taurus. I need cozy. I need comfort. I need to feel that like freedom of when you are in your own creative space. Like I love like an artist studio, that type of vibe. I love like floor sitting, that like I need to just let my body roam. And I think a lot of it comes from being homeschooled. Like as a kid, I did so much of my school anywhere. Just like, and especially when we were on the go and different things, like when my mom was going through medical treatment, we just did. So that's very much my nature. So I love the couches, love setting up. I set up with my 2 friends and we just went at it, which I love because we'll just like make a little comment like, "Ugh, this is so much," or whatever. We just honed in. And then for me, I started with my new project really, no, I didn't. That's a lie. I did the intention settings that they recommend. I didn't really follow what they put up on the board this time. I more kind of just like went with a brain dump, almost artist way style morning pages. And that was lovely. I love doing that. I feel like I always have so many thoughts going through my head that need to be purged because it's just like an endless kind of like ticker tape. Like it feels like the ticker tape at the bottom of the news where it's like, and today, blah, 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 like breaking news, blah, blah, blah. That happens a lot. But it's like all the different segments of my life. Like the back of my mind will be like, okay, I have to remember when I go to this job, this job, this job, this, email this, send this birthday, like gets a lot. And that's why I'm a planner person, because a planner, I put it all there. It lives there. I don't have to think about it. And free writing, dumping, all of that accomplishes the same thing. So I did that. Then I wrote some poems because I'm still not 100% there with my new poetry collection, though I need to be because it's coming out in September. But I'm having a very hard time following my first book, and that will be a whole separate video because I could talk about that for like 45 minutes, and I would be thoroughly engaged in the dissection of it all. But did a little of that. Some of the poems are good, some of them are bad. That's the way it goes with poetry. And then I got started on a new film script. This is my like for me script. I have spoken to so many mentors, professional screenwriters, everything. And they've all been giving me the exact same advice over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, which is you have enough of the portfolio to show your commercial strengths, to show your this, you've got that down. You've gotten scripts you've co-written, you've gotten original scripts, you've got all of this. What you really, really need is to write the script that if you had, like if money was not an issue, you could just materialize it from your brain to the screen. What does that script look like? And what is a script that can only be a script? It's not a book, it's a script. And so I know what that is. And I know the story only I can tell. The story that will have no traditional commercial appeal. It's just an original and it's me as a script. And I'm really excited to do that because I think it's just so healing, especially as a filmmaker, to just create again. No anything else. Just create for it to be read. Create for other people who work in my industry to have imagination with it. And that's really exciting to do. But I always forget when I work on a script or anything really, how the first tasks take 10 million times longer than anything else. Like, you always start a new project when you're already pretty far along on an old project. And how I tried to explain it to my mom, because she's a former figure skater and former like figure skating teacher and coach and stuff, is I was like, it's a lot like the start of the season when you're learning new choreography. Last season's routines you have down. You can do those forward, backward with technical errors, all of it. Like it's muscle memory. It's built in. This is once the start of the new season and you're just getting used to the music. You've just laid the choreography down and you are going at quarter speed because you're not in it yet. And I was like, so it's the same thing where it's like in order to get through that, to get to the point where it just flows and it's just there and it's instinctual and all of that, you have to show up every day to rehearse. And you got to just practice and practice. And you have to do your warm-ups and your everything. And you got to fall and stumble and delete and redo and start from the middle and take it section by section. And she was like, oh, like this all makes sense now. Like that, I understand. And so doing this yesterday, that's where I was at. I wrote like 4 things I wanted to get done. And I barely made a dent in the new script. Like I really thought I was going to walk away from day 1 with act 1. Like check. And it's a book that's very steep in culture and interpersonal, like layers and layers and layers of interpersonal relationships. And so trying to establish and stack those and represent the world building through the characters and like the culture and all of that is in service of the characters. It's in service of the love story encapsulated at the center. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is so much. I just thought it's here. I see it. I close my eyes and I can see cuts of the movie. A lot of times trailers. Like when I first start with a story, it feels like I'm watching the trailer because I have snippets from all the acts. Actually getting it down, hard. Beast. So I barely did that. Thank God I got some poetry in. Did not even touch my novel, not touch anything. And I had an attitude of like, oh, this is fine because I can set aside a little more time for this. And here's how I can change my structure for the second day and just get in XYZ on the novel by putting the 0 draft into the computer. And instead of honing in on the 0 draft manually, I'll do it digitally, blah, blah, blah. That obviously didn't happen. So I walked away from day 1 with a lot of progress, a lot more awareness about myself as a writer, remembering that no matter how much I write, the beginnings will always be slow, especially because with scripts, I don't pants it. Like I have never successfully written or enjoyed writing a script that's pantsed. It is intense brainstorming and treatments. And then a lot of times I will underwrite the script so that I can read back through it and then go, what is missing? What more do the audience need? Because I will create an overabundance of ideas. I will have so many ideas. I'll have so many thoughts. Like truly, when you sit down with a story, it is boundless. It is opportunityless. You can go about every single choice 10 million different ways. And it's very exciting. And that's why I think I'll probably be an author and screenwriter that revisits themes or certain parallels a lot, because it's fun, it's intriguing, and I love people that kind of have like spiritual or emotional trilogies to their work, because I love observing artists as much as I love observing their art. So definitely into all of that. But I think that the biggest thing is just always remembering that I have to like whittle those ideas down, and I have to really focus them and be decisive. And that's kind of like why I'll underwrite a little bit, because I'll make sure that I like really I pick the loudest, the best, the most clear idea. I pick the ideas that I will die on a hill for, essentially. Not actually, because especially when you work in film and TV, as I've had happen with many of my scripts, everything's going to change for budget. But again, this isn't a script that's the plan. The plan of this script is just to have a really great script to show people who I am as a screenwriter without those accommodations. Because I think it's necessary when they're looking to hire someone to see both, to see the unfiltered, just artistic vision, integrity, personality, along with seeing how willing you are to collaborate and how you can weed through the nonsense of notes to actually understand the fundamental flaw that lays underneath what people are saying to you. So that's kind of the crazy thing with all of that. But yeah, it was taking so much more than I thought to really hone in on all of it and to enjoy this idea of like, I want the opening page to read, or not the opening page, but I want the opening scene to read as if it has no choice but to be this long 7 to 10 minute tracking shot. How do I establish that? What are we tracking? What is the pace? What's the timing? All of it. Think about all of that. It takes a lot of thought, because then at the same time I'm like, ooh, but if it's not that, what if it's written like this beautiful montage that's full of the delicate interlapping and little tiny and like insert shots of everything. So I was getting so in the weeds on doing that, and you look kind of crazy because you're just like sitting there like watching a movie in your head. You're like trying to listen to music that helps you like narrow down the tone and the feel, or you turn the music off and you have noise canceling on, or you like get up to go pee a million times. But I love it. I love doing that, in creating. And so I'm not begrudged or mad, because I know the quality of my process. I've been doing this for so long. I was about to say I'm so young. I did start when I was young, but I've been doing this for so long that like I am not going to sit here and be like, I am brilliant. But I am dedicated. I am a hard worker. I've observed and studied myself creatively multiple times, my work structure, all of that, especially when I've worked for other people as a writer. To be a good employee, to be a good collaborator, you have to know how you work as a tool. And then as an actor, they train you to know yourself and your machine, and I apply a lot of that same logic to this. People with athletic backgrounds get it. So very committed to all of that, very into all of that. And so made good progress. Definitely feel like I wouldn't have achieved the tasks I wanted to achieve within the 2 days had I made it, but I feel like I would have walked away with quality work that I couldn't do anywhere or anything else. So the compromise to all of this was I did get 3 hours today to go to a nearby library and sit and write before I went to work because I ended up picking up a shift later in the day because I wasn't going to be needed at home for a certain amount of time. There'd been a request for me. I said yes. And so I managed to get, I guess the moral of the story is even when your writer's retreat doesn't go to plan, you can take the good and everything you learned from it, and you can still get your tush to sit down and write in an uncomfortable chair for 3 hours and make progress and be proud of yourself that hell or high water, you get the job done.